Torin Redpath, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So take me back to 13-year-old Torin. So if he was in the room today and he met the man that I'm looking at across the room now, what would he think?
It's a good question. I think it would be disbelief. I feel like that's a really good age to call out, because I was heavily overweight in that time, and I just went to what you guys call high school, what we call secondary school, and zero confidence whatsoever. Like zero confidence when it comes to anything. I was also still a child, very much. Like I look at 13-year-olds these days, and I think like, oh, they've there's even 13-year-olds like starting businesses and stuff. Like the I remember watching loads of like YouTube videos on drop shipping. It's like for 13-year-olds making millions. I was like still playing Minecraft, heavily overweight, and like didn't have any skills when it came to communication or pretty much like anything really. I was very insecure. I was always like I suppose, a nice guy. But 13 was when it actually kind of changed. It's when I actually first got into fitness, I guess. And it became a little bit of an obsession. So 13, I think I was about 95 kilos, or the same height I am now, a little bit shorter probably. So pretty overweight. And then I went on this like crazy, pretty much eating disorder where I would run, and I had to run this like 10 kilometers every day, but I needed to walk to this track that I went to. So it was like a summer after my first, I'm pretty sure it was after my first year in school, where I wouldn't say I was bullied or anything, but like light remarks on it. Didn't really, it was like the first time you kind of get introduced to girls, I guess. No confidence whatsoever. And then I went to on summer and I was like, okay, I need to change this. So I pretty much went all in with fitness, running, went to this, I think it was 5 kilometers away the track. So I'd walk there, I'd do it, the 10-kilometer thing, and I'd walk back. And I remember it would be, I had to do it. Like I had to do it. It was just something that like was built into me. If I didn't do it, I'd feel awful about myself. And if I had an event coming up, I'd do it twice in one day. And I remember one time I did it 3 times in one day, and I would also eat nothing. And like my mother would give me home cooked meals, and I would literally feed it to the dog. Like I would eat like a little bit to make sure that it looked like I ate something. So I thought that itself would bring me confidence. I went back to school. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, you've completely changed." I'd say I was more insecure then. And so you could see the ribs. I went from 95 kg to 42 kg. So half my body weight, probably the matter of about 6 months, I would say, give or take. And then it was like, okay, I went from like the overweight kid now to just this super skinny kid. I remember like even, like the bone on your arm, it would like pop, you get this, I don't know, when I was like super anorexic, this part like stuck out a lot more, like this by my wrist.
Mm.
Anyone's just listening. And then that became an insecurity. I'm too skinny. And that kind of went on for, I suppose, until I was about 16. Then I discovered the gym, fell in love with the gym. But then I kind of went reverse again. And then I kind of doubled my body weight in 2 years. So I went from like that 42 kg kid to then, I think I was 90 kg up until the age of 18 when I went to uni. And then that again brought its own insecurity. So I was like, oh my God, what do I do to actually get confident? That was something that I struggled with so much. And then I guess I went through college drinking a lot, partying pretty much every single day. Didn't really care that much. Like I think a lot of communication skills and confidence came from just meeting thousands of people. But I was still very insecure about my body, and I just like got this like skin rash, and I was so insecure to take off my top. And a lot of people wouldn't even know this about me because I would just keep my top on all the time. It'd just be something I dealt with myself. Like I was a big guy, I was really into the gym. I was benching probably like 140 kg. I was strong, but I was still like no abs, like very bulky. I think I got nearly up to 100 kg when I was like 20. And then I was like, okay, I need to learn actually the right way to do this. So I studied a little bit on nutrition, kind of self-taught myself about training. And then COVID hit then. And then I went on a kind of season to Greece in Zante, so it's the Kinthos. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go on like this. Like I had nothing else to do, so I'm gonna go on this cut. First cut ever. I think it was 20 weeks long, and I got down to maybe like 65 kg from my original like 100. Didn't drink or anything. My rash went away, and I got pretty shredded. And I was like, okay. I was always someone that thought, okay, I've got it bad. I've got terrible genetics. I'm never gonna be that guy. You know what I mean? I kind of was player two always in my head. Like I'm not gonna be that guy. And then I kind of didn't even look at myself form from like I was weighing myself every day, but I wasn't really looking in the mirror. It's just something that I did. So week 0 to week 20, I remember all my friends when we went on the flight, we stopped over in Italy, I think. And I remember taking off my top and everyone just looked at me with my friends and were like, oh my God, what has happened to you? Like veins all over my stomach, kind of like way more confident because I knew that I'd done it, but I still was living in this mind of the insecure kind of chubby guy, not player two again. And then I met my, I suppose, first girlfriend when I was in Greece. Got so much confidence because I was pretty much on like a working holiday, but I also like was doing a little bit of repping, so like kind of club promoting. That was the whole purpose of the holiday. So met thousands of people there, found a lot of confidence in it and found a lot of like what I thought I was an introvert. And I was like, okay, I actually love this. I love speaking to people. I love making conversations with people, be it that this is in probably one of the most dirty party islands of all time. And I think I did so it was 3 months there. The last month I did sober, which at the time I would get a lot of confidence out of drinking. And like, if I'm going to a party, I'd be a little bit socially anxious. And then I get a bit of drink in me, and then I would be okay. It would just be this thing. So I did the last month completely sober and was exactly the same. I was like, okay, I don't actually need alcohol anymore. I found this newfound confidence in me. I love going to the gym. I've met some people in the gym there and made some connections. And it was an amazing feeling. Like the first time I ever felt okay in my skin, very proud to be me. And it took years of discovery to make that happen. And if you met me now, you're like, okay, this guy's just been confident his whole life. Obviously, I speak to a camera for a living. I teach, like, I coach, which brings confidence out of other people. But I think that's the exact reason why I love coaching.
Mm.
I love getting someone from a position where I've worked with some people for like 2 years, but they're in a position where they need to lose like 50 kg of weight. There's some pressure on their relationships or even just their dating life. And then we're at the very end of it a year later, and I see the exact same thing I saw in myself. Because you're not only building like a better physique, telling yourself a better story about yourself. I'm someone that goes to the gym. I'm someone that eats like controls my eating. And you also discover that you can be consistent with something. And that just shows in every
Mm.
realm of life. And now to be able to do that as a career, it was straight after that holiday. I was like, okay, I gotta be. I remember I coached someone from just from school because I like people were asking me how did you get in shape or uni, sorry. And then I was like, okay, this is cool. I was doing it for free. By the way, if you're ever doing something for free, people don't listen to you. You need to charge a little bit. So there's a little bit of pain point there. I think I coached like 10 people for free. I think like 4 people probably, or like 3 people actually listened to me, but other ones just like 2 weeks goes by and it's like, okay, I'm not paying this guy anyway. And then when I started charging like the tiniest bit, maybe like $10 a week or something, then I kind of got a little bit of momentum there. And then I came out of uni, um, and then the coming out of uni was like, okay, I was doing it as a complete side hustle. So I had like 10 active clients or something like that. So yeah, to bring it back to the question you asked, the 13-year-old Tarn going through those years would have never imagined this at all. Like I kind of just had, I think, submitted to the idea of player two, no confidence. It's the way I'm going to be. I'm going to be that guy in the background. I'm going to be an NPC.
What a story. But if you look back now, do you know why there was such an obsession with your body and like where this emphasis on the gym and motivation to change the way you look and get more confidence comes from?
It's kind of a hard question. Um, so I've always been someone that when I get into something, I get really into it. But the actual like focus on the gym itself, I think it's really like so I was really into video games when I was a kid, and this idea of leveling up
Mm.
was something I was like, I wanted to be the best level in like Call of Duty or something, let's just say. And I feel like I got a little bit of a feeling of that with life. So, 3 months would go by and I'm literally a level up from the turn I was. And I feel like I got addicted to that
Mm.
feeling of self-improvement. Okay, I'm actually the player. And it's actually affecting every element of my life.
Mm.
So yeah, that was kind of the addiction. Um, yeah,
Because there's something about like, because I love video games as well. I think a lot of young guys do, but I think it's very tied into like the biology of men, I think. And for me, like it makes you feel like you're in control of your life. It brings the agency to you. And I think the gym is quite analogous to video games in the sense that, you get to see your progress, you get to see yourself improve. Something I always found difficult with my sporting journey was how many things are out of my control because I was, being selected for team sports. And, I found it difficult at times to get on with certain people because I, didn't want to buy into drinking culture all the time. Whereas the gym is such in your control. You don't have to get along with anyone else. You get tangible results. You don't have to get selected for the team. Everything is on you.
yeah, yeah. That lotus and control is something I think I do well in, where if I can put work in and I get outputs, I feel like that's something with my personality I'm very into, when it comes to just the smaller things like the gym. But you can also put a lot of work into something and get no outputs from, and that's kind of what we talked about before we started rolling. Was I feel like that's when you actually know you've struck gold on something. This is something I'm really into. If you're doing it time and time again, not getting much output out
Mm.
of it, but then still wanting to do it. I feel like that really shows that you're like, this is something that's for me.
Because if you get rewarded quite quickly from something, it's hard to know if it's authentic or truly something you love because you can confuse the feedback you get, whether it's money, followers, validation, for genuine inspiration and genuinely something you want to spend your life investing into because you can confuse the signals that you get from the output.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone would want to be an online coach if they were just guaranteed like $100,000 a year. I feel like that would be a job that a lot of people would say yes to. But it's the things that building your body, building a social media presence, and getting yourself out there is things that people don't want to do. I remember like just actually anyone that I talk to in the gym always that's really into the gym, they're like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to be an online coach? I'm like, you can be an online coach. But they're like, oh yeah, but I won't make any money out of it. It's so saturated. And it's really about, do you really want to be that then? Or is it just the outcome that you're kind of attached to?
Because what it gives you, like there was a lot of the podcasts I talk about speak about this thing where it's like you have to trade everything. You can't just trade the one thing. You can't just trade the money and the followers and the body. You have to have everything in their life. You have to have the sacrifices they've made. You have to swap everything if you want one specific thing of their life.
Oh, 100%. It's like, when you look at famous people, it's like, oh, I want their presence. I want their, like, I suppose like a bit of a word used at the moment, aura, and I want their life because it looks so easy. But then I bet you if you are someone like Jimmy Carr, for example, looks like a really happy guy, probably one of the best comedians, I think. He does like 2 shows a night for like months on end. Like, would you actually wanna do that? Like, that's so much pressure, and you gotta be funny all the time. Like, is that something that you would actually want?
Mm,
Or would you just prefer your life? If you're in that for like even like a day, you'd probably just be like, "Okay, tap out. This is really hard." You
mm.
know?
Talk to me about your journey with online coaching and specifically now that you've gained all of these followers and seen a lot of success in your coaching business. Talk to me about the insights of that journey that we might not be aware of.
It's been an amazing journey. It's kind of got a bittersweet to it. So obviously, the followers has been crazy. I've gained 700,000 followers in the last 5 months, which has been overwhelming to say the least. And took a lot of my capacity, which I wasn't aware of until kind of reflecting on it. But it's been in terms of actual business, I'm extremely proud of myself. To give a little bit of background, I've hired 6 people in the last 3 months, and in the last year, I've serviced over 300 people. So that alone gives me like a crazy sense of achievement. Like I could have not done it if I wasn't posting every day and putting myself out there. But then there's the thing of at what cost. So I've been posting videos every single day for the last maybe year, I would say. They only started taking off about 6 months ago. And I kind of got addicted to it, going back to this like obsession or just getting really into something that sometimes the ambition can be a little bit of a dark side to it, where you think like if you look at me, 700,000 followers, I've got like a full team around me that I've built. Like, okay, he's got it really good, but sometimes less, sometimes more. Sorry, like more followers or more money or whatever it is, isn't actually better. And there's an illusion to and a lie to more equals better. And that's something that I've really firsthand experienced in the last 2 months or even month. That if you're putting all your capacity into something and it's almost becoming your identity, like your work ethic, the views on a video become your identity. It becomes just what you do. And then you get enclosed in almost this bubble of like, okay, this is what I do. I create videos every day. I coach clients every day. I do maybe sales calls or strategy calls with people every day. And then you don't stop for a minute to think, okay, how's the other elements of my life doing? Am I having balance in my life? Am I actually feeling fulfilled? Because if you're chasing something that gives you so much validation, especially if you're growing as fast as I am, and it's something that I think is very valuable for people to think about before they go on like an entrepreneurial route. Because I, for one, had this like idea that being being entrepreneurial or having your own business means you need to suffer. Because I got kind of locked into that Alex Hormozy kind of like sleep on the floor until you like make your millions. Like it doesn't really matter what clothes you wear the same thing every day, cut off relationships if they're not serving you. And I don't fully agree with it. Like I'm someone that absolutely loves Alex Hormozy, and I think that a lot of the things he says are amazing and will get people out of like, okay, kind of like a soft or weak mind to like, okay, let's step up and do this. Because if you want something, you got to work at it. And I'm not saying that that should be taken away. You should definitely have that. And if you want something, you need to go get it. You need to work at it, and you need to almost have a delusion to post every day without getting any outcome. You need to have like a delusion that, okay, I am getting there, even if it takes 1,000 videos. But at the same time, you need to remember the balance of life. And that being, okay, here's my work, here's my relationships, here's my family, and here's my self care. And if you get addicted to just one thing of the outcomes of work, you can almost self abandon everything else. You know, you get into like it was a really interesting thing that I came to where I thought burnout was when you just can't work, you get into this state of like just complete exhaustion. But another state of burnout is that if you're doing all of the inputs and you're not feeling any sort of fruits of your labor. Like this is something that I've experienced massively. Like hitting 100,000 followers, I was just like, okay, on to the next thing, moving the goalposts onto then I hit 200,000. Okay, what's on to the next thing? It could even be the clients that I had. I was like, okay, I've helped 20 people. That feels amazing. Let's hit out 30, 40, 50, 60. Now at 700. And you need to slow down to actually celebrate your wins, or else what's the point? That was kind of something that, and a very hard truth that I came to where I've been in this bubble of work for 6 months of all this growth. And then I just slowed down for a minute. I was like, okay, what is the point of me doing this? Because it came to a point where I was not meeting up with friends. I wasn't being like emotionally there for people when they came to me for their problems. I wasn't calling my mother as much as I want to, and that's a big thing for me. And this all came from actually visiting my family in Canada. They're like, oh yeah, we've been calling all the time. You've obviously just been locked in with work, and we're so happy for you and so proud of you. And I was like, oh yeah, but that's not really how I want to show up. I don't want to be this person that can't hold space for someone. Can't like if you tell me your problem, I need to just genuinely leave the conversation because I can't take it on because I've got all the stresses of just my business. That one cup I'm filling, and I've completely forgotten about all the other ones. And that was a big realization where it's like, okay, when I got to Canada and like my mother said to me, like, is everything okay? Like you seem very distracted with work and everything. And this is the first time seeing her in 2 years. And I was like, okay, something needs to kind of change here. Because if I can't give capacity to my family because of business taking up everything of my capacity, then yeah, what's the point? Like you need to have the balance of everything. Or you're just gonna become this guy that's just known for business. It kind of loses everything around you other than that business, you know?
Mm. Naval has this quote that ties in really well, and he says, "It's easier to achieve your material desires than to renounce them." And I find a lot of people listening and it's really easy for people, and for you back in the, let's push the timeline back for you to think, to just think that, okay, it's easy for you to say, but if I just had this, then I would feel better and everything would happen. It's so easy to conceptually grasp this idea that, okay, I know it's not going to make me happy, but then we go on and do the same thing anyway, and we don't tangibly change how we operate.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there's a quote that I read the other day that actually like made my whole body, like it was like a full body experience. And it's sometimes we need to see the things that don't shine to highlight the things that do. And this idea of if you can't enjoy the little things, the little mundane things, the walks in the morning, where you're not doing it for productivity reasons, right? Like I think I got stuck in this realm of just ticking boxes because it helped my work. Like it helped me stay a little bit more energized if I reset my circadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm is just like your body clock when you go outside and look at the sun. But that was like a productivity tick. It wasn't like genuinely I want to enjoy
Yeah,
the
Chris.
scenes around me. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
I want this, I want to do this so then I can go back home and work better.
Yeah,
You know?
Chris Williamson made a big thread about this. He called it productivity purgatory, and it's like this idea that, we as entrepreneurs, it's like this idea that we need to like slow down and appreciate, life and everything on the journey, but we find ourselves slowing down or doing things on a checklist only to enhance our productivity, and it's not genuinely to do it. And the same idea with celebrating our wins. It's, we've got to celebrate our wins so that, that we can work a little bit better because we're
Mm.
more grateful. And it's like we're always trapping ourselves to the pursuit of more. It's always this fixation on more, and like everything else is on service and instrumental towards more money, more success, more growth.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely there's a book called 4,000 Weeks. It's Oliver
Mm,
Berkman, I think.
yeah.
And it pretty much just talks about like what's the point if you're just like, if today's to-dos are just gonna roll on to tomorrow and it just resets. Like I've experienced this so firsthand where it's something that I do think people need to experience themselves for them to believe, like money won't buy you happiness or followers won't buy you happiness. Because, if you're in pursuit of that, you're like, oh, but it would be nice. I think if someone told me that maybe 2 years ago and I'm a broke college student, if someone says to me, like, oh, $100,000, I'd be like, wouldn't it be nice? Like, they're definitely happy. I think I was under the belief that money definitely bought happiness. Um, and when I come back to this balance, because this what we're talking about is also balance, where if you're doing everything for that productivity for your business, there's still no balance there. If I'm going outside or meditating just for the simple fact of being more present on a sales call, not for myself, just so I can be a little bit more articulate or something, it's still going into that bubble. It's not going into the, oh, I'm doing this for my self-care turn so I can feel just better in myself and my life. It's going into still business. And I fell so heavily into that trap where my routine was, okay, I'll have my electrolytes, I'll have my meditation, I'll do my journaling, just so I can feel less stressed to actually do the job that I do 24/7. I came to working like 12 to 13 hours a day, and every single day, 7 days a week, and pretty much nothing else was fulfilling because if I was doing something else, sitting on the beach, I'd just be thinking about, oh, what's tomorrow's video, or what work can I do when I get home, or I wonder how that client's doing. And it wasn't. I don't think in the last 6 months I had a genuine slowdown to feel okay. I'm doing this for me just to actually enjoy my life. It's to it's so forward focused that like I'm doing this to get better at business and then business will help me in the future. But if you're not building everything else, what is the point of having a business in the future if everything else in your life is crumbled down before you even get there? Like
Mm.
if you look at someone that has like maybe like 3 yachts or something, but they don't have a family and they don't have a friend group around them, do you really want to be that person? Like, not really. And I think that was something that I was not saying that I'm on the way to getting 3 yachts, but I think I was on the way to just being someone that was so locked into that and being almost oblivious to the outside things other than outputs that I was just going to keep going in that direction unless something big happened, unless I got a wake up call of like, Tarn, why are you doing this?
Was there a wake up call?
Yeah. When I told you that like going to Canada, speaking to my like family, that was a big one when it came to they were like, okay, you're here now. It's been 2 years. Like you got to stop working
Mm,
a little bit so you can be present with us. Because I wasn't present. Like something, my mother's extremely mindful, very spiritual lady, and I love her with all my heart. And she told me, she was like, "Okay, you don't seem present at all." And it's kind of it's funny because 2 years ago I put a lot of my effort into mindfulness. This is when I started meditating, like started sorry, journaling, and really got into gratitude, reading books, and genuinely just being in the present moment, where I could just sit here for an hour and actually just watch the world go by. I didn't need some dopamine source.
mm,
I actually got to the point where 6 of 7 days of a week, I didn't use social media. I deleted it off my phone. So only on some days I allowed myself to connect on social media, and I love that part of me. I was so happy, and I was very able to hold space for people and be interested in what they have to say to me. I read a book called How to Make Friends and Influence People, and one of the big points that kind of came across in that was be genuinely interested in someone else. Instead of you, like, I feel like when I was like the socially anxious 15-year-old, I was like, okay, what can I bring to this conversation that's interesting about me? What did I do last weekend that was like super interesting? Because I'm thinking of these things even before I speak to someone, just so they think I'm an interesting person. But you connect to someone so much more if you are vulnerable, but you can also just be genuinely interested in what they have to say.
mm.
I feel like that's what a pro or like an elite communicator is being able to listen and actually hold a safe space for someone. If they tell you a problem, that you can actually like, listen and be able to hold it without it becoming a burden to you. Because that's another thing that this ambition thing brings. Like if you're stressed about all your staff and making that video tomorrow, if someone says like, Tarn, I'm having a bit of a bad day, it's like you don't have the capacity to even acknowledge that because you're just already thinking about all the things that are in your business. And that was something that I was definitely doing. Like, if someone told me their problems, I would get more stressed, not like, "Okay, I need to slow down and, like, listen to this person because I really care about them." And that was something that I will say, I think in the last 6 months is something that I look back and I'm not proud of.
Before we continue, I want to share something that has genuinely transformed my life. Now, I've spent years studying psychology and interviewing expert guests, but I've never found anything as effective as the DiMartini method. Now, most frameworks just teach you how to manage your feelings, but this is specialized in dissolving the heavy emotional charges that keep you stuck. It's about stripping away the baggage, the resentment, the heartbreak, the anger, so you can actually reclaim your life and move forward with clarity and inspiration. Mitchell Vickridge at Nirvana Health is a specialist in this process. He has created a specialized product that simplifies the DiMartini method so you can apply it to yourself and start regaining control immediately. For those who want to go deeper, he also offers professional one-on-one coaching and facilitation. If you want to stop being held hostage by your past and start mastering it, go check out the link in the show notes to get 10% off all his services and products. It's the most powerful tool I've ever used to empower all areas of my life. Thank you, and let's get back to the show.
Because I feel like, well, there's many roads we can go down with there, but
Mhm.
first one with the being interested in other people, like we don't remember how when we think back to experiences with people, there's this idea called reverse charisma where we remember how interesting someone makes us feel
Mm.
rather than how interesting they are. Like that's like the role of a podcaster is to bring things out of you and make you interesting, make you the storyteller. And I think a lot of people go into conversations like, okay, what can I bring to the table?
Yeah.
What can I bring to the table? But people want to share their story. People want to feel valued, feel seen. And if you can do that, it's the easiest psychology marketing tool just to be, well, not only to be a good human, but like we have this fixation on that, like we need to provide something, but like
Yeah.
provide a good ear, ask the right questions, and people will remember you. And it's also, I find it a lot more enjoyable to listen and learn from others because I get enough of that time in my own fucking head.
Yeah.
I get enough time. I get enough oscillations, turbulence in my own head. I like hearing people talk and be vulnerable and learn from them because I don't know how you feel, but definitely over the last 4 years, it's hard. It's hard to navigate life as a young man to figure out where I belong, what I want to do, who I am.
Yeah.
And when I hear people process their own life, it just there's so much solace and peace found in listening to someone else. So I think we're always so focused on ourselves, but there's so much of life is about connection. I think how boring and uninteresting it would be to be on a desert island by ourselves. Like
With the yachts. Even though you made all this money, but you have no one around you.
It's so easy to fall into that trap, like, but it's one of those unteachable lessons, isn't it? Like
Oh, yeah.
you need to almost that's why I talk about Naval's quote, like you almost need to experience it to realize it, because how many people over the course of history keep saying it? Jim Carrey's famous quote, like, I wish everyone got rich and famous to realize it doesn't make you happy. Because the thing is, I think money can buy experiences that bring transient dopamine and happiness, but if the foundations aren't authentic and you don't actually love what you do, or you don't have people to spend time with, like, what is it for?
Yeah, exactly. And that was like the big wake up call for me was, something I value massively is connection with people. As I said, when I first came to Australia, one of those parts I loved about it was I came here and I really liked the people. Like I connected with loads of people. I started working in a gym, and my favorite part of the day was going in and just chatting to my 100 regulars that I would speak to every day and all the staff, and like hold the space and be able to light up the room with just like a nice hello and like, oh, how was your weekend? And then going down all those branches of conversations. Because if you're stuck in your own perspective, then you're not going to learn much. You know what I mean? You need to connect with other people to see their texture of their minds, how they process things, because that's what like another realm of wisdom is. It's not just like reading books and doing things that again bring you back to just being better at business. But that connection itself, because that it can also bring you like a network that will help you with all realms of life.
Because the reference point for most entrepreneurs is just tangible metrics. Like there's this, to reference Chris Williamson's thing again, like he talks about this idea where we trade off hidden metrics for observable metrics. So like it's so easy to trade off presence. It's so easy to trade off peace of mind for a follow account, for a bottom line revenue figure, because you can see it. You can justify sacrificing your current moments, your peace, your joy in day to day, because you can actually see it's worthwhile because I got more followers from these videos, or
Yeah.
but it's really hard to make tangible peace of mind. What is it? How do you put a price tag on that piece when you're having a cup of coffee and you're sitting down and you genuinely wouldn't want to be anywhere else? How can you put a price on that? It's so easy to understand why we trade off these things, but we fall into the trap.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that presence can be taken away, especially if you are succeeding. Because everyone you'll speak to that you genuinely has seen you growing that much just gives you so much validation as well. And I feel like that's another trap in itself, where pretty much anyone that I've been close with in the last 3 months or 6 months, every time I see them, like, oh my God, you've grown so much again. It almost just became like my interactions almost just got used to it being centered around me. Again, going back to um, not being genuinely interested in other people, because it got to the point where I think the burnout of working so much, like I would go to my favorite coffee shop or something, and I wouldn't be interested in what they like had to say. I'm not proud of that. And looking back and reflecting on that, painful for me, where, I kind of lost that touch because I just thought, okay, I need to just grind right now. I need to work, work, work. And because of, again, that metric, you can see it going up. And then anyone that knows me just is kind of congratulating me anyway. But then I feel lonely in that, because I'm not asking them about their day. It's kind of centered around me. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people think about. This whole balance of work and stuff is something that I really don't think people think about when they go down an entrepreneurial road, or even if they are just winning in life in terms of one thing. It can be very easy to, again, go back to, okay, I'm growing tens of thousands of followers a day. My business is growing as well. Then everything must be okay. But then if you slow down for a minute and realize, okay, I've grown 700,000 people, but I feel way more disconnected with my family, with my relationships. And that's a big wake up call to have, because it's like, okay, again, going back to it, what is this for if I'm doing it? And, I'm more disconnected than ever.
I think that's where it's really important to get clear on your values, what you genuinely want to experience in this life. Like people have different values on different things. People value family time, people value relationships more. Some people value building businesses more. But if you actually don't understand yourself, then it's so easy to get conditioned by the outside world, because we rely on the algorithm to change what we do. Like I was talking to my mum this morning about this because I had a big reflection, like comparing myself to your account. It's like, it's fucking infinitely small, but I was on 2,400 followers for about a year. And now I'm at like 5.3. I went up like 3K in the last, which is like doubled in 3 months. So for me, that's like big growth. But I'm like, I actually don't feel more fulfilled because some of my content has drifted away from what I really, really love doing, because I think I've fallen into the trap of like, it has performed well, but when I get the followers, it doesn't really mean that much. Whereas when I've gotten followers from what I truly love, which is me, the psychology of helping people understand themselves so they can master their life. When people give me feedback for that, like, this, what you said about this helped me, that
Oh yeah.
is so good. But when I get positive feedback or validation for saying that's not intrinsic, it's so hollow. But that's where it's like, you've got to listen to that feedback, because the feelings that you get, the feedback, that is the learning. I think we need to go through periods where we're more inauthentic to realize what our authenticity truly is. We need that contrast. So I think it's really important we don't shame our journey, because without periods where we maybe go down too far one way or the pendulum swings too far the other way, like, we wouldn't know and understand what the purity of being authentic really feels like.
Yeah, it's kind of like you need to put your hands in the fire to realize it's hot. I think that's an amazing saying. I met a guy that I used to work with that said that on my morning walk the other day, and it really is like that. It really is like that, and it is just chasing goals and then not slowing down again. Because again, that validation thing of getting to the next goal, getting to that next goal. I can genuinely sit here and tell you that when I was working on the gym floor, but I was more connected with all my friends and I was way more connected with my family. I was a happier person with 2,000 followers than right now well, this month has been a very transformative. I'm definitely feeling much more present now. But say at the peak of this, when I really kind of lost myself in this thing of ambition, you need to take advantage of all these followers. You need to take advantage and provide people more value because you're on a roll. You're really on the algorithm now. That's what people would tell me. Like you are experiencing it. You need to like make the most out of it, monetize it as much as you can, help as many people as you can, and then you just get stuck in this pursuit of goals that when you hit the goal, it's the next goal. So it's like running on a treadmill and never getting off. It's like running on a treadmill and just keep on running, but you don't get the endorphins. You just have to keep running forever. And that's a massive thing. And the realization of actually that I was a happier person before all the followers, before all of the business and everything, it was a massive one. I don't think that it's something that it makes me want to take it away. I'm very proud of what I've succeeded there. And I'm very happy I've realized these things now at 25 and going down the rabbit hole of like, I want to make more money. I want to have more followers for the next 25 years. And that is the only core thing that I'm focused on. And then when I'm 50 years old, I'm alone with no friends, just with those yachts we talked about. Like bringing it back to that, that's been something that's in my head like all the time. Where, I need to bring people on the way. And again, going back to like, I love Alex Hormozy, but he says like cut everyone off. Really, sometimes you have to look at what is the reason you're doing this. Like, if it's to like pull you towards success so you can genuinely like help the people around you, but if it's an insecurity, and I feel like that's something that drives me, is almost like an insecurity that I have to keep working harder and harder and harder because I'm running away from maybe a life that, I was scared of when I was younger because I didn't have the most like rich childhood. We didn't even live in a house for 2 maybe 3 years. I feel like when I slowed down, it was like, okay, because one of my friends said this to me, it's like, who taught you this? Who taught you to just like keep going? And like, you don't come from like, I don't also have like a connection with my dad. Like, who taught you this? And I kind of like stopped to think about it. It was a very interesting thing because, sometimes people are born into successful families and then they get successful because, their dad or their mother is like a very successful person. And they kind of just like see that and then they kind of go down like a similar route. No one taught me that. And then it kind of like struck me where it's like, okay, where did I get this from? Nowhere. Is it just like an insecurity that makes me just want to achieve the next thing and go towards this success? And that insecurity and achieving these things is never going to just go away. That is something that's rooted in me. To really overcome an insecurity is to be happy where you are. Bring yourself back to
Mm.
that presence. I am abundant in what I'm doing right now, not if I achieve this goal, if I get to 1 million followers, if I make 2 million next year, whatever it is. Because that's so forward thinking. The abundance of life is enjoying it right now, enjoying the tiny things in your life, enjoying that view, enjoying the butterfly that flew into your room or something so small like that. And it really does come back to the abundance of life and being able to enjoy the small things is so much more, because if you can't enjoy the small things, you will not be able to enjoy the big things.
Mm. I'll read you the story I heard on another podcast, which ties in exactly here. And the story was told by Kurt Vonnegut. He's this famous novelist, and he had a conversation with this author of a book called Catch 22, very successful novel. So they're at a billionaire's party, and Kurt and Joseph were at the party hosted by this billionaire hedge fund manager. And Kurt said to Joseph Heller, he said, "Our host made more money yesterday than your novel Catch 22 has earned in its entire history." And just remember, this bloke's a millionaire. The author of this one book has made millions from it. And then Joseph Heller replied back to Kurt. He says, "Yes, but I have something he will never have." And Kurt asked, "What's that?" Heller said, "Enough."
Yeah, and that feeling of enough, that even gives me chills right now, because I don't think I ever felt like enough. When I hit 500,000 followers, like I thought, like that is something that I just never thought I would achieve, you know. And my sister told me I was at 522,000. She was like, "Oh, you hit 500,000," and I was like, "Oh, no joy out of it, no fulfillment." It was just like, okay, when 600,000 gonna happen? And that itself is a scary thing to experience. Where I've got something that I've never thought I would, and especially this fast. Like I always like I think I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder that, you know, I have a persistence where I can work on things, and I have a willingness not to give up on things. And I did think when I went down the social media route that it would go well for me eventually, because I would just keep on cracking at it. But I thought that me cracking at it would like bring the fulfillment of the achieving these things. But then again, going back to that burnout thing that I didn't even realize is if you're putting all the inputs in and you're not getting any sort of like fruits of your labor, it's just running on that treadmill, no endorphins.
Mm. In Will Smith's memoir, he said, "When I was poor and miserable, I had hope. When I was rich and miserable, I was despondent." And I think one of the biggest things is when we are, Chris Williamson, I saw this clip the other day, it was about when we are poor or people are poor and we have this pipe dream, we have this hope that money will fix our problems. But when you attain everything materially successful and on paper, then you're forced to confront the real issues. You're
Mm.
forced to introspect and go, this hasn't really changed the way I feel, the hollowness that I feel, this emptiness, this lack of fulfillment. Like, it's not gone away with the thing I thought it would give me.
Yeah, yeah. I think oddly enough, that kind of reminds me of if you're succeeding in something, say that going back to these buckets that I kind of like talked about, and it's about business. If someone comes to you and tells you like, "Oh, you haven't been present with me this morning, and like I would love some presents off you," like as in just being in the moment and making them feel seen, because you're succeeding in business and you're getting like tangible results from that, you forget. It's so easy to forget about the other things in your life. Like you forget that, you know, you didn't show emotional capacity or safety, and you didn't work on yourself yesterday in terms of the things that you promised that you would. I got to a point where I would promise a friend or a partner that, you know, I'll bring you like let's go for dinner or something. And it would get down to that day and I haven't planned anything because I'm again in my bubble of work. And time just goes so quickly when you're in that motion or momentum of just working all the time, that you're like, "Oh, I missed it again. I missed it again. I missed it again." But you're going back to that safety of just working all the time, that it's like, "Oh, that doesn't matter that much." And then slowing down to realize, okay, that is hurting that person. That is showing no safety. You're not a very nice person to be around, because you're promising all these things. You're saying, "Oh, let's meet up for coffee on 3 p.m. on Friday," and it comes around and they text you and they're like, "Oh, Are we doing that tomorrow? I was like, oh, sorry, man. I have some client calls I need to do. Let's do it next week. And then next week comes by and you don't do that again. And yeah, just that validation you're getting off of work alone can become addictive, that you don't realize that like your friends are getting more distant. Your partner doesn't feel any sort of safety or um validation or interest from you because you just keep on working towards that goal that gives you that tangible results. That was a really interesting thing that you've kind of struck on there, because
Mm.
it really is. It's like if I'm an entrepreneur and yesterday I made $10,000 or something, it's like that is a massive win, you know, and that's something that I can see in front of me, and it's huge. But then at the same time, it's nothing. It's materialistic. It's it's surface level stuff, because if you make $10,000 and keep it in an account forever, what's it for? It's just a number in a bank account. If you haven't experienced something with that and been able to slow down and enjoy that coffee with a friend and maybe even buy it for them, act in service of them, where you get that good feeling and you connect, then there's no point doing it.
How can someone understand that lesson or become more aware of this conversation? Like, I know that some things in life need to be experienced to learn, but how can someone use your experience to reflect on their own life and potentially where they're putting their energy and maybe where they're unconscious of their not being aware of the downsides of their overinvestment? And I think people,
Mm.
there are some things that need to be learnt in life, but I also think the whole purpose of being able to think into the future as humans is that we can start thinking, how will my actions today play out in the future? What should people be aware of in regards to this conversation about chasing success and some of the downsides?
Yeah, I think going back to when I blew up on social media and the things that I would love of myself to learn are, you really need to audit yourself, right? Like if you got friends that you love, you got a partner that you love, whatever it is, or your family, everything. Think about your week and think about it being, where am I putting my time this week? And think about my values. Like rank them one to six. You know, maybe number one is friendships, relationships, partner, whatever it is. Number two might be just experiences. Number three might be, and this is something I did. This is another eye-opening experience for me. I've done talking therapy for the past 5 years. It's something I think that everyone should do. And where money and business actually came sixth. And I remember having that conversation with my therapist, and it just like, it was like a thunderbolt down my, and this was only a month ago, thunderbolt down my spine, where I was like, okay. And then she was like, okay, where are you putting all your time in the last 6 months? Literally, all of it was number six on the business and money thing. Because the reason that the business and money thing was sixth is because you should be doing those things to enhance everything else, right? But if you're just doing that thing to not enhance the other things, then all of those things will start, being neglected.
Mm.
And then they'll eventually just fall down and you'll lose respect of people, right? So if I was to give actionable advice on how to actually make sure you're prioritizing your time right, and being a good person and not just getting sucked into the ever growing thing of business, because you're a business owner, there's always something to do, always, constantly. There's an email to write, there's a person to text back, there's a, I don't know, a brand deal to say no to, whatever it is. Um, so that's a scary thing, where it's like that. You could easily work on it 24/7. You could easily do it.
Mm.
So what I'm doing now is, boundaries are massive. You need to be able to. This is my work time. This is when I switch off from work. And it's not like switch off from work. I'll check a few texts while I watch a movie or something, because that's what I was doing. Because if you're still working, you're still having that cortisol. You're still having that stress. You need to, because I've worked with a lot of very successful people in coaching. When I first started coaching, I only coached millionaires, and it was exactly the same thing. They weren't present on a phone call, and this is another reflection I had. And I would tell them, okay, you need to go to the gym. They're like, no, when I'm at the gym, I'm just on my phone answering work calls. I'd be like, no, you need to switch off your brain. And then I actually eventually became that person. But yeah, going back to setting boundaries. Today I start work at 8. you know, I feel like everyone's so anti 9 to 5 right now, but it's actually a healthy thing that you can go to work at 9, start working, and then end work at 5, and then you finish work, right? You go to home and you cook the dinner and you have fun with your friends. You might, whatever you do, because that is filling your cup,
Mm.
right? That's filling the cup of your relationships. You might go home to your partner, you might go home to your dog, filling all their cups, right? And that's a healthy thing in the 9 to 5, and I love that. And that's something that I forgot as well. So, and also you have the weekends off to do things that fill your cup. Like, just going for a swim, going surfing, going whatever it is, those things that don't have anything to do with business. So make sure you have that. Make sure you set boundaries. Make sure you have a solid morning routine is massive. Like I still, even if I was doing it previously for the productivity benefits, because I would literally be like, okay, so I was waking up at like 4 a.m. At 4:45, I'll do meditation for 10 minutes. At 4:55, I'll go for my 15-minute walk and I start working. Completely just to strategize because these things would make me better at working. Now it's like, okay, I'm going to spend 2 hours in the morning. I'm going to go on a 1 hour walk. I'm going to do a 20-minute meditation. And then I'm going to be able to make my breakfast in peace and have that slow morning effect. And then that makes me feel so much better than just this like straight away into work because I've set that boundary. I genuinely am doing it just for me. Like, I'm making breakfast with music on. Like, that's not something I did at all. I would make breakfast. I would literally cook it as quickly as I possibly could because I just needed to get it done. And it was just all in that. And I didn't even realize at the time to just do more work. So yeah, setting those boundaries, making sure you're doing things genuinely for you. Someone asked me the other day, what do you do for self-care? And I would always just say I'm terrible at self-care because, I'm just so ambitious. And that was like my cope for it. But you need to do the self-care so then you make sure you're happy. And the self-care could also be because then you're filling your cup to respond better to other people. So yeah, you need to find those things that you really like and genuinely do them and put time out for them. For me, for example, when I came to these very like realizations, it was hard to do self-care. It would be hard to like sit down and watch a movie on my own. Really hard. And although then it would make me just like feel really relaxed after, I'd be thinking, oh, but like that's a waste of time.
Noisy.
Yeah, no, literally, that's a waste of time. Like you shouldn't watch Netflix. You shouldn't that 2 hour walk in the morning looking at the sea could be 30 minutes on a treadmill. Like that was the kind of thing I was thinking about. Where it's like, okay, why would I go on a 2 hour walk when I can get the same calorie burn if I do an inclined treadmill? Because it makes me feel better about myself. Because it makes me feel more present in the world. It makes me see the little things in the world that I wouldn't have if I was walking in some room on a treadmill in the dark. You know?
It's so easy to fall into the trap. It's so easy to fall into the trap that doing something is going to be the thing that makes us happy. I like this quote from Naval, and he says, desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. And I think we all have these like unwritten contracts in our life. We might not even be aware of it because a lot of this is unconscious and we are in pursuit of something. And we've written this contract with ourselves that when we get this thing, it'll make us happy. And we might all know that conceptually, but I don't think a lot of us realize what those contracts actually are, what the terms and conditions of those contracts that we've actually signed away for. We haven't actually negotiated with ourselves. Like, who am I? What will genuinely be a life that I look forward to? And it's hard because I think there are some practical things in life that you need. We need financial freedom. Like if you have money stress, like it's going to put a real ceiling on your ability to be happy. But then there's the other conversation where it's like when you start chasing these things, your mind is very good at, I think it's definitely our amygdala. Like we get very hyper focused on this thing, like the emotional pull of this thing, because a lot of the time it does make us feel a bit better. Like when we start working towards in the gym, let's say we look better, let's say working on the business, we get a bit more money. It makes us feel better, so that it creates this association that this actually will solve my problems, because at the start it does make you feel better, and then it gets into our programming, and we're like, this is it. This is the thing that is going to make me happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you keep on doing it. You realize that, everything else might fall, and that at what cost? Because you'll get addicted to that. If things start working out, of course it's going to be better. But again, just back to that balance. This whole conversation is all about balance. I definitely think it's an amazing trait to be able to just work hard at something, do hard things, show up day in, day out. But I can tell you as well, from this balanced style I've had now, I'm like way more connected with my clients. I feel way more productive when I'm actually at work. I've reduced my time from working 14 hours a day to 8 hours a day. And I can say my 8 hours are more productive. I'm like, I'm not, I don't feel as lonely. I feel happier. I feel better about things because I've
Mm.
given myself that chance to fill my cup. And then I'm way more enthusiastic. I'm not a robot. Like honestly, people these days think that, to be an entrepreneur, you need to be a robot. And like, how do you do it? And, like, how did you achieve that many things in that amount of time? And then you just like say, you know, like, because I showed up consistently every single day, which is true, but it doesn't mean that everything else in your life needs to fall down because of that. You can do
Mm.
both, and you should do both.
Yeah, I think we just internalize the wrong lessons. Like when people tell us something, it's very useful, but we often think we're different. Like it's all right.
Yeah.
It's like I'll be okay. It's like I'll use the hormozy. But I know how to keep my relationships afloat. Like I will never be that guy.
Honestly, there's so one of my favorite YouTubers, he's actually he's like a fitness YouTuber. His name is Joe Delaney. I love Joe Delaney. He kind of like he has like these motivational videos which pretty much just talks about like, enjoy your life, like make the most out of it kind of thing. There's even like just 2 hour videos of him like talking about how to like pick up women and stuff in his car with his mate and stuff. And he, not saying that that's what you should buy into at all, but like one of the things that he talks about is just the experiences of life and enjoying that. And it's kind of, we're living in a world where like we have got so much instant dopamine, like so much stimulus, context after context. If you go on your phone, you can literally look at like anything, you have access to anything that's like super dopaminergic and like, you know, will just fill your brain with like that good feeling because you're really locked into it. And then, again, that takes your ability to slow down as well and enjoy the moments. Like it's kind of like that ticked up brain thing
Mm,
where, you speak to someone that you call like I suppose I would call it an iPad kid.
mm.
And you're talking to them for like 10 minutes. I mean like 10 seconds. And then instantly they're like kind of thinking about something else or like they're not really interested in the conversation. I don't want to be that person, but my dopamine was business. And my dopamine was, chasing followers and stuff. And yeah, it's just you really do have to think about where your time is going. It's
It's
coming back to that every single time.
It's really hard because what happens is a lot of the time in most people's journeys, the reason they're so passionate about something is because they had a pain point in their life. They wanted to satiate that part of themselves. And we think that by thinking about it, we're in control of it. This idea of like letting go and being able to tap into presence and be able to enjoy the experience, like it feels like I'm not working. Like it feels like we're going to stop putting energy into the thing. We're not going to get there. We're not going to get to this illusory destination because if I stop thinking about it, I'm going to be out of control and things will happen. I won't be able to control it. It's this like hyper fixation on needing to be certain of how the future is going to play out because what the problem is because we've come from a pain point and usually like this wound, we are attached to the outcome because if the business doesn't become successful, then who am I? Like I've built my worth upon the success of something external to me. So I need things to play out a certain way or else who am I? Like, so I feel like it's really being able to strip back, like, what is your purpose? Why do you love doing it? What are your values? And if you get really clear on that, like, it's so much easier to know where you're being inauthentic and where you are unconsciously chasing after something that will consistently just get pushed back further and further.
Yeah, because you lose that part of yourself. Like if you are attached to, I am the type of person that just keeps on working, and like that is my self worth. Your self worth actually becomes your to do list. Like I saw a thing the other day where it might even become the views you get
Mm.
on social media. Saw a thing the other day that he's very aware of it, but Mr. Beast, it's like probably one of the most successful YouTubers. I think he's going to be the first billionaire YouTuber. Maybe he already is. And he talks about that, if he gets a video that gets 300 million views, he's not happy. He's like thinking, his head is already thinking, why didn't he get 330? And that is a scary thing to be into, like if you can't enjoy that, that is exceptional. And if you're constantly just like, it goes back to that enough. What is enough? Especially when in this pursuit of greatness, But what is that greatness? What is the enough? Is it the slow mornings and being able to appreciate the small things and the sip of coffee and everything? Because all of that will go away if you just are constantly in this pursuit of more and more and more. You don't think about that nice sip of coffee. You don't think about, oh, that 2 hour walk was nice. You think about, I'm drinking this coffee to get caffeine so I can work harder. I'm doing this walk so then I can burn calories so then I can make more money in my business. Not saying I was at that point with the walking thing, but I was definitely at, like, enjoyment of the small things definitely went away. And that's something that I take huge pride in myself, and I did, and I definitely lost in myself, was just a couple of things where, like, just enjoying the mundane things of life and enjoying the small interactions and the really philosophical conversations and um the genuine interest for other people and being able to talk about deep things. Because it got to a point where, like, everything I was talking about was business, because I'd meet up with someone and they'd just be like, "Oh, how's business going?" And they're genuinely interested in it and they want to learn how. But then you forget those more spiritual things where, how are you really feeling? What's your truth? What makes you feel heard? Because
Mm.
all you're talking about is business, and that's just taking up all your life.
Mm. So easy to fall into that. A quote I do like is, "There are no solutions, only trade-offs." Because I think we are just looking for, like, I still feel like you can easily still fall into this trap of, like, okay, I'm gonna master the business, and then I'm also gonna master my relationships, and I'm just gonna put more volume into everything, and I'll be the exception to the rule. And okay, these guys can't do it, but I will be the one who can, 10x my business while also having the best relationship possible, have the best body possible, and I'll make the biggest social media account. It's like they're always going to be trade-offs, and it's just like your trade-offs should reflect your values.
And you should choose those. It's like choosing your compromises. Like, if you're just being someone that other people compromise for you, they're giving you your time, they're giving you your effort, because they're genuinely balanced and they're filling their cup in all different aspects. But you're the type of guy that cancels the plans. You're the person that just talks about your business, doesn't ask about theirs or whatever. Then, you're making no compromises because you're so stuck in that loop. You like to be 100% effort of something means everything else will have 0% effort.
Mm.
And you won't get far if you just are, like, forgetting to fill other cups in your life.
And I feel like there is the other side where, like, I look back to a lot of the like ancient Greek philosophers, all these people, like, from a philosophical standpoint that we look up to, like, there were a lot of them that were poor and they did renounce all these material possessions. And we're in a world that's quite economically difficult for the average punter. So I think you really have to integrate this game of money with the spiritual side too, and being able to realize how they connect together. Because, for example, I'm reading a book, and one of my favorite coaches, authors, whatever you want to call them, John DeMartini, his book is How to Make One Hell of a Profit and Still Land in Heaven. And he talks about this idea of, like, the person meditating on a rock, thinking about how, you look at it as a third person, you'd be like, oh, they're very spiritual, right? Like, they're leaning into mindfulness, like, but that person might be obsessing about business or what they're going to do that day, right? Like, how spiritual is that very when they're focusing on material things? Or you might look objectively from the side, at someone who's buying this $5,000 gift, and you go, oh, it's just, how materialistic is this person? But they might be gifting that to someone, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, that is a very spiritual thing. It's like, there is no separation between material and spiritual. It's the energy and intention behind it. But they connect, and it's really important. And I've been doing a lot of this year, is like, because you spoke about values before, and wealth creation for you was quite low. And one of the things John DeMartini does in his approach is to link wealth creation, or our lower values potentially, with our highest values, like what we truly love doing, because that is how you synchronize the spiritual and the material world, is being able to understand how they connect with each other. Because now that you've built a successful business, have a following, like, it's so much easier for you to fulfill your purpose with those things. Now you have the money. Okay, now you have this resource to be able to use for the things that you intrinsically value, but we don't realize how much they link together because we just fixate on the one thing as we go along the journey.
Yeah, it's all about wealth. I think you struck gold with that word, wealth. You know, wealth is not money alone. Wealth is not followers alone. I actually don't think it has anything to do with wealth. I think wealth is being truly enough and feeling fulfilled in your life. You've got an amazing relationship. You've got an amazing relationship with your family. You're able to act in service of others without it being too overwhelming for you because you're so in your head about business or something, and you're able to appreciate just small things without it being overbearing for you, or be able to appreciate, sorry, smaller things because you're not focused on just the big outcomes, and you're just those big outcomes are never fulfilling because you're moving the goalposts. But real wealth is just being able to be like, okay, I'm enough. Everything I have is enough, and feeling fulfillment out of that.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's so easy I fall into the trap so many times at thinking that something external is gonna be the thing.
Yeah,
We all do.
it's an unteachable lesson.
Yeah.
When I hit 100,000 followers, when I hit $100,000 in my bank account, I will be happy.
Mm.
And you get there, and it's just emptiness. It
Mm.
doesn't feel like anything. You forget it happens.
Mm.
You will not experience that unless you go through it, because you'll just think, oh, it would be nice though.
Mm. Yeah, we're still gonna have the pipe dream.
Mm.
Mm. What else? Is there anything to wrap up this conversation around this tension that I think a lot of us feel towards wanting to be successful externally, have this material success without compromising our authenticity? I think there's this growing awareness now, especially through social media, around how important it is to be consciously creating a life that is aligned and isn't sacrificing the things that we love. I think people are more aware of these trade-offs that we've fallen into. So is there anything that's super important to take away for the listeners?
I think it just comes back to just like really focusing on, am I abandoning things to get here? Like self abandonment is not fulfilling other areas of your life other than one thing. Like the day and age we're in now with the entrepreneurs and everything, and like obviously overnight riches, and like working online and things, and like Andrew Tate telling you that you need to just make more money, and it's just not true. It's not true. You need to, of course, money's fantastic, and it's going to be something that does get you those better experiences, and you're able to use it. But if you focus on it too much, you'll be like, oh, I'll just save a bit of money to put into business in that area, and you'll actually won't even use it for those other things. Just remember why you're doing it. Why am I doing this? What is the outcome I'm looking for here?
Yeah, someone told me this quote about money, and it was like how money is like gas on a holiday. It's like when you're traveling around in a car. It's like you need the gas to travel around, but you're not doing a tour of gas stations, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're doing it to experience everything else outside of that. And it's so easy. It's so easy to forget that. It's so easy to forget that. And then months go by, and you just, because you're getting that validation and getting that fulfillment out of business and stuff, that you realize that all I'm doing is like looking at the steering wheel instead of everything else around me, not holding safe space for other people, letting, like, not making the efforts, to not making the compromises with friends, family,
Mm.
not showing up the way that you should be. It's a painful lesson to learn, and something that I was happier when I was driving the, we're talking about the car analogy that you're kind of going with there. You could be driving like a Lamborghini around that, and all you're focusing on is just the tour of the
Gas
car it
station,
is.
yeah.
Um, then you could be happier if you're just in the worst car ever, but you're able to actually see outside.
And you
You
got
know,
a good passenger next to you.
you got a good passenger next to you, and maybe some good mates in the back. And you don't need some like crazy stimulating screen up to you that's like taking all your energy away, because that's what social media is.
Mm. Any concluding thoughts?
I don't think so. I think the topic here has been quite narrow focused on just the ambition versus balance, I think. And coming from someone that's obviously grown exceptionally fast, um that, on the outside, you're probably thinking, like, it's a privilege to have what I'm saying. Of course it is. Like, I'm saying these things in hindsight, but I've experienced enough where this is a pain point for me. It's not like the happiness thing that you on the outside might think. You look at the guy that's got 1 million followers again. You look at the guy that's making millions of dollars a year, but you do not know what it's actually like to be that person. And if you are not careful enough, you can be that person that's just only filling one cup in your life. And that's really the topic of this conversation, which I think is very valuable for people to actually take control of their lives and make sure that they're filling in all aspects, not just one.
Where do we go to find more of your work?
So obviously Torin Redpath on my Instagram, and torinredpath.com is my coaching website, and TikTok, don't really use it that much, but it's Torin Redpath _
Find some good recipes.
Find some good recipes, yeah.
Torin, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, man. Really enjoyed this.
Thank you for listening to the episode. I hope you got a ton of value out of our guest today. Now, if you enjoyed that episode, don't forget to click the follow button on Spotify and also click the 3 dots and click rate show. Makes a massive difference in helping grow the show and bring on even bigger guests. And also, if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It does make a massive difference. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.